All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Reggie Middleton from Veritaseum with us today, and he's going to share some information with you that is absolutely breaking news. I mean, I don't even know how the crypto space can function with this kind of news going on and about the patents that Reggie Middleton holds. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm sitting here with Reggie Middleton from Veritaseum. Reggie, how are you?
Doing well, working hard, very busy.
I know you are. And I just want to highlight for a lot of people, because I know you're going to give a quick background of who you are in Veritaseum and just the overview of that. But I want people to understand that you're also the kind of person that's not only in the crypto space, but you have been really a prognosticator and a predictor of events for many, many years in the economy and things around the economy and things that are going on. And I probably show that later on for people to understand just the kind of knowledge and understanding you have about the economy and the space and where we are today. Reggie, tell people very quickly a brief overview about yourself and Veritaseum.
Okay. I'm a father of three. They're almost all grown now. That's my number one job, despite the fact that they're almost as old as you are now. I was a real estate investor, and I bought income-producing properties from 2000 to 2006. Before then, I had a financial software analysis company. I had a .com. I saw the real estate bus coming because 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 119. I'm not good at math, but I'm better than that. Sold off the real estate, decided to short everybody who did business with me and open up a hedge fund. The hedge fund didn't work out because hedge funds were going bust in 2006, 2007. But part and parcel of doing that, I opened up a blog, Boom Bust Blog, and I put my analysis out, and I called for the collapse of Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, Washington Mutual, Countrywide, about 50 financial companies, real estate companies, European debt debacle, etc. You know how the history went, roughly about 86 to 89% accuracy rate. 2013, I looked into Bitcoin, the white paper, etc. There you go. I wasn't down a rabbit hole. I went down earth-wide tunnel and have yet to come up because I had a very varied background of technology, of finance, of actual investing my own capital, going short and going long from a global macro and pure fundamental valuation perspective. I saw things differently. And I was self-employed all this time. I was perennial unemployable, depending on which way you want to look at it. So my partner and I patented everything that we use to solve problems in building advanced financial applications. This is back in 2013 and 14. It appears that everybody else who wanted to build more advanced financial applications using DLT technology encountered the same problems. We simply patented them because I am not a cypherpunk. I am a father and techno finance guy. And so I am not anti anything. Anything that helps, that is conducive to a good business, that is ethical, I pursue. Those patents were prosecuted, that's legal parlance fought for 6 to 7 years, from 2014 up until currently. The US has issued one. Japan has issued one. I'm expecting several others to be coming forthwith. These patents I call a DeFi patent because everybody's familiar with DeFi, but in reality, they patented conditional transfer of value over a distributed ledger, which is not that broad in the scheme of things, but very, very applicable to crypto businesses and blockchain businesses. I feel personally that it covers Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, NFT transfer, NFT minting, validator nodes for proof of stake, proof of work, Litecoin, etc. So it's fairly broad.
So the patents you're telling us that you have, and some have been issued right now in the U.S.
Correct.
and Japan,
Yes.
you
The
say,
first and third largest economies in the world. So the jurisdictions were chosen from a financial economic perspective. Sorry to
okay,
interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, it's totally fine. So, so to understand, you have these patents that cover the assets that you mentioned and the way that they move value. Is that correct?
Right. Certain functionalities within those assets, or platforms, shall I say. For instance, now patent law is a specialty to begin with. Patent law is a specialty of the specialty. So think of an internist or a general practitioner as a doctor. Then think of a specialist, and then think of a frontal lobe surgeon. Okay, that's what patent law is. And a lot of people, armchair lawyers, and it's not that simple. They say, well, Bitcoin white paper and Bitcoin predates your patent. Okay, so I didn't say I patented Bitcoin. What I patented was basically the widgets of DeFi or distributed ledger technology of peer-to-peer, zero trust distributed ledger technology, et cetera, et cetera. So these little widgets were patented by me. And in order for many platforms to grow, to become much more advanced, you have to include these widgets. A layman's perspective would be, I never invented the car, but I invented an air conditioner for the car. So
Understood.
if you start using the air conditioner for the car and you sell that car infringes. Okay. But a lot of people are like, the car predates your patent. I'm not saying I patented everything. Number one. Number two, patents are considered bad in the cypherpunk crypto community only for those entities who are not reliant upon a successful business, or who don't understand how business is done. If you take a look at the most productive, the fastest growing technology markets in the world, they're rife with IP, and IP has to be protected. Smartphones, the iPhone has about 1,200 patented parts and pieces to it and services. The Samsung Galaxy Z4 Fold, very advanced device, about 14 patents. Does anybody think smartphones don't progress quickly? Same thing with anything that's IP intensive. Crypto is IP intensive. As a matter of fact, crypto is almost pure IP. So as this stuff becomes more advanced, patents are going to become more important. And if you take a look at the leading companies, many patent applications, many, 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 from Coinbase to Bank of America to Citibank to NASDAQ to even N-Chain and Veritaseum.
Well, this is interesting. And just for clarity, so for the audience and myself, right, you made the comparison between you didn't invent the car, but you imagine inventing the air conditioner in the car. Now that's an extended option to that original invention, right? So is it right to assume that the patents that you're talking about that you have, Reggie, that these patents really, are they patenting a process, or are they patenting specific technology itself?
Well, they patent devices,
Okay.
They patent systems, and they patent methods.
Okay, so you had several. They overlap then.
Right. There's a lot of work that went into them. I told you, it was 2023 almost, 2014, 10 years. 10 years of work just since the patents have been issued, basically. Since they applied for. You go in another 20 years before that, the work that went into the expertise to be able to write and prosecute the patents.
So if I understand it, you specifically designed these different patents to work together. Is that correct? So they could work collectively together. Is that right?
Well, what I did was I designed inventions. I created, the first peer-to-peer swap on a blockchain that I'm aware of, on the Bitcoin blockchain. It closed in December 2013. We did deliverable asset-backed tokens, gold-backed tokens. Deliverable is very important, deliverable upon demand. We did zero trust swaps, zero trust. We did what we call the Veda, which is basically a blockchain-based investment fund. fully autonomous, which even reads its own research. So a lot of these ideas, as we started writing them, particularly on the Bitcoin blockchain, which wasn't very flexible, doesn't have a full Turing script, et cetera, we came up with roadblocks. I'm like, wow, we hit a wall. We found a way around the wall, found a way to dig through the wall, and we just wrote it down and we patented it for future reference. Filing patents in the technology business, from my perspective, is just part of doing business, just like getting a phone number, getting an email, getting an office. You invent something, you file a patent. If you wish, you can open source that and give it away for free because you have control over it. As a matter of fact, open source software is not possible without IP protection. I hear a lot of people, again, trying to play an armchair lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer. I have what you will call an experiential law degree, AKA the School of Hard Knocks, which is nothing to brag about. But, I learned things the hard way, unfortunately. So if you suppose you invented the blockchain, you invented Bitcoin, okay? Your name is Satoshi Nakamoto, not Nakamoto, Nakamoto, slight difference, right? And you want this to be open source. The only way for you to assure that would be open source in perpetuity is for you to claim ownership and control of the IP. That way, anybody who takes it and makes a change in it and wants to make it private for themselves, you could say, no, that's forbidden because you have to agree to this software contract, a EULA, or use terms of service, et cetera. When you do that, you take control of that IP. If you don't do it, then you can't guarantee it's open source because now someone could just take it and run with it and make a change, et cetera. So control of IP is a cornerstone of capitalism in the US, number one. Number two, patents and the right to own your invention is a tenet in the Constitution. And number three, all the countries and markets that have rampant IP and strong IP protections are the strongest markets in the world. The US has the strongest patent office. It's the number one economy, number one technology market. Number two is China. Number three is Japan. Take a look at their patent offices. China is the most prolific issuer and grantor of blockchain-based patents in the world, 2 years running.
When you talk about, the patents and you mention certain tokens that basically are in violation of your patent is what you're saying, correct?
In my opinion.
In your
my
opinion.
Research
in your yes. researched opinion. And most of those are proof of work, proof of stake projects. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So where does, is there any patent conflict with something like, let's say, XRP?
When you say patent conflict, what do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is what you have designed in your patents and the way you've laid them out, do other projects outside of proof of work, proof of stake conflict with your patents at all? And I used XRP as an example because it's neither proof of work nor proof of stake.
See, well, XRP is a token, so it's a unit account, but I'm assuming you mean Ripple and
Ripple and the ledger, I encompass all of that, correct?
So I believe RippleNet has functions that infringe, and on-demand liquidity definitely. If you look at the patent application, you just Google Reggie Middleton patent, you're going to see conflicts with the SEC enforcement unit. But I'm pretty sure that the XRP Army knows how that works. Here's a tidbit trivia. The lead prosecutor in the SEC versus Ripple versus Bragg Garlinghouse, et cetera, et al. Case is the same lead prosecutor that went after a tall, handsome gentleman at the other side of this camera. Just a little, tidbit of information. But if you look at the patent, Google Reggie Middleton patent, you go through the specifications and you see scenarios that are described using BTC versus XRP. But outside of that only difference, it describes on-demand liquidity to the T. And this was in May 2014. So on-demand liquidity is a stand up for the patent. On a more technical level, I believe there are portions of RippleNet that are that infringe. This was from research that was done by the various engineers and analysts that I employ.
Now, you also submitted an amicus brief in the SEC versus Ripple case as well. Can you talk about that for a second?
Well, technically, the very DAO submitted it.
Right.
They're a separate entity, but they're a DAO made up of very token holders who were very, very close and loyal to myself and Veritaseum. But I'm not a member of the very DAO because of the aggression of certain bad actors in the space. I didn't want to draw any undue attention to them. But the very DAO did submit an amicus brief in the SEC versus Ripple case. And the reason is simply because the SEC is out of control and they're wrong. And so what makes that amicus brief unique among all 16 of the other briefs, I think it's 16, the number keeps going up, is that most of the other briefs, or all the other briefs that I know of, are either arguing law, which is, of course, what this is about, or giving hypotheticals of what would happen if the SEC were to have its way, how it would have a chilling effect on the market, et cetera. The very DAO's amicus curiae brief was factual. It mentioned law, but it piggybacked upon what Ripple's very, very capable lawyers did. But what they did was they're able to recite historical fact. This is what happened to the retail public, to the very token holders, after the SEC had their way. Okay, I don't believe they agree with the SEC's findings of alleged fraud and alleged token manipulations, et cetera, which should be interesting because these would be the defrauded. So how often do the defrauded come to the aid of the defrauder against the entity that alleged fraud? And on top of that, they're all telling their story of how they bought an asset, they believed in good faith, that asset value was thrown in limbo, and they have tried many times to contact this particular agency. They did more than one FOIA request. They filed a no action letter, okay, which is very unique among token holders. As a matter of fact, I think they're the only ones. And they've hired counsel at least 2 times, and 2 different counsel to interact with either the SEC or the federal court system. That is a very, very active community. And I would presume Judge Torres and the other judge, I can't remember her name offhand because this is not my case, when she reads this, I would presume it would weigh heavily, because this is not conjecture, this is not legal argument, this is not a finely tuned hypothetical, this is empirical historical fact.
Have you spoken with anyone at Ripple or any of the other projects that you've mentioned that your patents really come in conflict with?
I haven't spoken with Ripple. Both Ripple and I seem to have our hands full. But I have spoken to quite a few projects. Not all of them are cooperative, and so we filed suit against one of them, Coinbase. So we have a big suit against Coinbase. Coinbase expectedly filed for a motion to dismiss, which they requested a 30-day extension, which would have been 51 days with the statutory time limit. And then it would have been 3 months if you add in when we initially gave notice. And then we filed an opposition to their motion to dismiss. Very, very telling, very, very strong. If you read it and you read the actual complaint, it makes it very, very clear where we stand and how valid our claims are against Coinbase's alleged infringement. It's my personal belief, and I'm not a litigant in the Coinbase case personally, but it's my personal belief that this patent covers over 90% of Coinbase's revenues.
Wow.
And not just 1% over 90% either. So that's my personal belief. I look at things from an analytical perspective. I have a staff of analysts, but that's where we stand. And of course, I'm not litigious at all. I really only defend myself, and at times I don't even do that. But I felt that, or at least the company felt, that Coinbase was not fully cooperative in negotiations. So I'd like to talk. If you're using our technology without our consent, or worse yet, if you're being a pirate and willfully stealing it, you don't talk. Then we have to do it the hard way.
So, and where are you at in that process right now? So how far along is that right now? I know you said 30 days, 3 months. So where exactly are you now?
Well, we filed the complaint. We served Coinbase. Coinbase asked for an extension to respond. They responded with a motion to dismiss, meaning they want the judge to throw the case out. We oppose that motion, basically saying such a request is absolute nonsense, very strong. It's 117 pages of claims, just the claims portion. And they get to answer our response. And then the judge either denies that motion or allows it. I believe they're going to deny it, but I don't want to be cocky and I don't want to predict the future. You never know what happens. But if it is denied, the next step is discovery. And that would be interesting because you will now have the team that predicted almost every major financial collapse in the US since 2007. And also predicted many technicals such as the financial overvaluation of Apple shares, the collapse of Research in Motion, and the absolute takeover of Google's Android operating system. And the guys that patented the vast majority of advanced DeFi. We actually created advanced DeFi, on-demand liquidity, et cetera. That team now gets to pour through Coinbase's innards and records through discovery. Ooh.
It's a lot. So how close are you to getting a ruling on that motion from the judge in the Coinbase case?
Well, Coinbase gets a chance to answer our reply, and then it's up to the judge. The judge moves at the judge's time. And I don't recommend anybody call the judge and say, "Hey, hurry up." That's not a good look. Okay, so I don't think it's a lot of thinking to be done. But again, I'm not the judge, and the last thing I definitely want to do is be cocky or overly confident. And we're also in discussion with other entities. You know who they are. They're big names, and we'll see how it goes.
So this case with Coinbase looks to set precedent for you and your patents, correct?
It may or may not. We don't need it to. The patents are very strong, and we're just the only reason we filed a complaint against Coinbase because they weren't cooperative.
Understood.
Some cooperative. I'm not out here to file lawsuits, but they'll put this in perspective because there's a lot of misunderstanding in patents and patent law, intellectual property. You're in a beautiful house right now, by the way. What state is that?
This is Maryland right here. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Just about 40 minutes from the capital, D.C. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to live in D.C. I went to Howard University. I used to live in Northwest, right up in Georgia. So, let's assume you own that house. Okay. You bought it. You're paying expenses to live in it. And then I decide to go in and move before my friends in. And I kick my feet up on your table and I'm picking, dust out of my ashy toes. And I decide to rent some rooms out of your house as well. Now I'm creating cash flow out of your house that you either built or bought. And you come in and you see me right in your house, renting out 2 or 3 rooms. What's your natural reaction? What's the first reaction if you see this?
Oh, we got problems. We got big problems.
Okay. So how would you like to solve these problems?
Well, obviously you got to go, right? You got to go. It's just, that's the place to start, right?
Right. So in the U.S., patents are akin to personal property. They're treated the same or very similar to personal property. You said you've got to go. I'm not even being that draconian. And I live in New York. There are a lot of people who would solve this a very different way, but we're not going to go there, right? Yeah. I'm just saying, pay rent. You came in here, used this stuff without my permission. I don't know you. I'm just saying pay rent. Now, if you ignore me after I say pay rent, I didn't even kick you out. Now you've got to go, and you got to go in the hard way. And you have to pay rent, and you have to pay back rent for all the time you've been here. And any monies that you made off of renting my house out, I need to claw that back too. We need to pay off for that as well. And that's what the patent infringement suit is about. Someone's in my house.
Understood. I love it. What a great analogy. So, Reggie, to close this, because I want to have multiple conversations with you, and you know that you and I have been speaking for quite some time, behind the scenes, and I find your situation and story, how you got here, really compelling and very fascinating. In a perfect world, what are the next things that happen for you, even outside of the Coinbase case?
Well, my idea when I read the Bitcoin white paper, actually I read the Bitcoin wiki. I read the white paper as an afterthought, and once I saw the part about Bitcoin script and smart contracts and autonomous payments, I was like, wow. But unlike everybody else, I didn't think in terms of remittances or price go up. The first thing that came to mind was self-sovereign finance, what I call I actually coined it peer-to-peer capital markets or distributed finance, not decentralized, distributed. So just to go through a quick, explanation, this circle, the central bank, and everything around it, money center banks, national banks, regional banks, moms and pops, et cetera, in a concentric circles, that's centralized finance. Decentralized finance, which everybody harps on, are little clouds of that centralized finance, but there are a lot of clouds. Distributed finance is a bunch of dots all over the place, and each dot has access to any other dot in any combination it wishes. Distributed finance is nirvana in a fully egalitarian and a fully liquid economy, a capital market. That is anathema to those who act as gatekeepers or rent seekers and prevent you from doing business with me simply by standing in between us. And then if you pay enough money, they pull the gate open. My invention and my idea is to create capital markets and economy without that gate. So I have no problem paying somebody to move something if you add value. If you simply drop a gate down in between us, you're not adding value, you're actually detracting from the value. So I want to move to a fully distributed peer-to-peer capital markets. That is my step. It was a lot of entities got in my way. It wasn't just the SEC, a lot of entities got in my way. But we're making strides. We're making some pretty big strides. If you license a patent from us, you get much more than, hiding from a lawsuit. You get the expertise of the guys who predicted all these financial collapses. We help you put your products together correctly. I've been harping on stable coins. Stable coins have a self-destructive and a perverse incentive business model. A stable coin is return-free risk, literally. It is taking risk without any return whatsoever. When you hold money, you actually want it to be the other way around. You want risk-free return, which is what the Treasury bill is supposed to be. There's no such thing as risk-free return, but minimum risk, where stable coins are maximum risk. So I've gotten into this in detail. I even made a mistake, which I apologize, but the mistake doesn't change the outcome of the thesis, just the mechanics of how it's reached. And I would like a more educated, more mature crypto market. Anybody who thinks that crypto is going away is going to go down in history, just like those who thought the internet was going away.
I completely agree with that statement. And I think I may know the answer to this statement, but I'm going to ask it anyway in closing here, Reggie. You've talked about the IP, someone renting your house, right? And pay the rent that they need to pay, licensing the IP to anyone who needs to use it, making it rightfully to the ownership of the patent and the IP, which is you, right? But there's also another option out there in the world too, Reggie. Are you open to selling your IP and your patents to the right buyer?
Absolutely not. Why would I do such a thing? Unlike others, there are certain entities, you can guess who they are, which label me a patent troll. The technical term would be a non-practicing entity. And outside of being offensive, it's also ignorant. An inventor can never be a patent troll, because to invent something means you reduced it to practice. That's how you made it. So once you invent it, you've practiced it. That's how the invention came about. I consider this my baby. Okay. My babies are grown. So my real babies are grown, but this is my second coming. This is my midlife crisis baby. Okay. And I don't sell my children.
That's wonderful, Reggie. Reggie Middleton, I so much appreciate you sitting down with me. Reggie, I hope this is one of many, many conversations for you and I going forward. And I hope in some way we've been able to help share your story, where things are currently right now. Reggie, I hope you'll come back and see us again.
I would love to. You do excellent work, by the way. Very good research and analysis.
Thank you so much, Reggie. Flattery will get you everywhere. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to close this out for everybody. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out all the links below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.